We are here. We are here. Finally, we are at the live broadcast that I have been looking forward to now for weeks and weeks, ever since the guy said that they would join me for the Monday night business conversation. And James suggested that we could go live on his page. I have been waiting with bated breath for this because I know there's going to be some quality information coming out of my three friends tonight. The topic tonight is my favorite topic of all. It's two topics: networking and collaboration. I have built my business, Michelle and I have built our business, Gilchrist & Co., on the back of our networking activities and the people that we have collaborated with. And sometimes that sounds like a big statement. You know, sometimes people go, network and collaborate. I've been to networking events that didn't do me any good. That may well be the case. I'm sure I've been to loads of networking events that haven't done me any particular good. But there have been other networking events that the people I've met and the conversations I've had and the introductions that have been made have been absolutely crucial to the success of our business. And then building upon those connections, those introductions, those stories and shared views and values that have benefited from at networking events. I've been able to collaborate with people, not based on money. You know, most of our collaborations at Gilchrist & Co. aren't fee-producing collaborations or going out and selling businesses. But we have collaborated, we have worked with many people, and in particular the three guys you see in front of you now, on many different projects over the years. And hopefully we'll get an opportunity to delve into those as well this evening. So the Monday night business conversations aren't about experts coming on and pontificating about their particular subject. It's just about people that I really respect and admire and appreciate coming on and joining the conversation as if it was friends around a coffee table down in Belfast City Centre talking about business. That's the vibe for tonight. And with that in mind, I'm not going to introduce James, Declan, and Kevin. I'm going to let the guys introduce themselves. And I think we will start with Mr. Perry. Please tell us about yourself, James.
When I am introducing myself, what I would do, folks, if you can share it maybe to your own pages as well and add to the collaborations and the people seeing what we're doing, that'd be great as well. But just a quick introduction with me, James Perry, from a beautiful village called Loughlin Island in the heart of County Down. What do? I'm a chartered accountant by profession, and I've got a couple of hats, well, 2 or 3 hats in terms of I am a teaching fellow in the University of Ulster in the Department of Accounting, Finance and Economics. And I also have got my own business called Accounting Success Coach, which essentially is creating the next generation of young dynamic professionals through both exam coaching and career coaching. And I also have got a networking collaboration brand called James Perry Presents, which hopefully a lot of people will know and heard tell of. And I am very delighted over the last number of years to be collaborating with my 3 other good friends here as well. So that's a little about me, but no doubt we'll touch on other things moving forward, Martin.
Yes, and James doesn't sleep. He's that busy. I don't think you get days off or sleep at night, but you keep up the good work, James. You're certainly shining a leading light for us all here. Declan, tell us a little bit about what it is that you do.
Absolutely. My name's Declan Barry. Again, like James, I wear a few different hats depending on where you meet me and what the circumstances are. My 2 primary roles are that I'm the authorised trade representative for the UK and Ireland, for the US states of Pennsylvania and for Delaware, and I look after their companies doing business in the UK and Ireland. As part of that, I also have my own business, which is called Export Explore, and that business helps companies from the island of Ireland and from UK, GB, to export for the first time primarily to North America. We look after logistics problems, make introductions, basically highlight all the things you haven't thought of yet, and help you to plan for them, and vice versa for North American companies coming to these islands. And just last month, we launched our second company called Agile Growth Systems. And Agile Growth Systems is a digital marketing business, which is aimed at helping companies who are launching new products and services to do a really smart sprint-based launch to understand whether or not they've got their sales and marketing strategy right before they spend a lot of time, money, and energy. So very, very busy with all of that going on, but a real pleasure to be involved in this evening.
Great to have you. Great to have you, Declan. For anybody who doesn't know Declan Barry as well as I've done, of the three guys on the screen tonight, Declan, you're probably the one I've known the longest. I think I've known you way back since the Social Media Association for Business days. Since way back before the start of the internet. Well, maybe social media.
Facebook was a new idea. We weren't sure this Facebook thing was going to catch on.
No, it was going to be one of those passing fads, I think. But yeah, thanks very much for joining me tonight, Declan. And last but certainly not least, not in any way, shape, or particularity, Mr. Kevin Young, Esquire. And the first thing I want, Kevin, from you is an explanation of what Esquire actually means.
It means cool AF. That's what that means. I'll leave that with you. So in my mind, exactly. In my mind, that's what it means. Outside of my mind, it probably just means, who's that crazy fool there? I just like to have fun, Martin, I suppose, and be playful. You know, being playful is important. The world is a serious place. Business is a serious place. People are busy. You know, stuff going down, and I think to be playful is good. It's good fun. As I listened to James and Declan both introduce themselves there, and they were pitch perfect. They were word perfect. There wasn't an or an the whole way through. And all my mind could do was to think, I should have prepared something. But I haven't. My name is Kevin Young, Esquire. And what I do is I help individuals and organizations with their emotional well-being. I do that for some charities, for some private organizations, and like I say, individuals on a one-to-one basis. And I'm just very keen to help people work through anything that they need to work through, and that can be, you know, that can be in a culture designing environment, or that can be someone, you know, just struggling with a relationship or struggling with an addiction. I like to help people. That's me.
And what more do you need? Liking to help people and having a cool as Football Association name is brilliant. What more of an introduction could you possibly want? Moving swiftly on, we have all met each other through networking. So we're all businessmen. It would have been great to have a businesswoman on here as well, but it just happened to be the way. We're all businessmen, and we met each other through business networking over the course of a number of years. The only did you ever do that thing where you had something important to say and then you completely lose the train of your thought? That literally just happened to me now. So I'll pick up and make up something else completely. So we met each other over the course of a number of years, and what I would like to do is do this in 2 rotations, and I'm just throwing this at the guys. Anybody who's watching this saying, did you plan this? Because it looks wonderful, you know, completely organized and entirely professional. No, I'm making it up as I'm going, going along, just like Kevin's introduction. So what I would like to do in this part of the question is discuss how we all met through networking, and we'll both have 2 goes at it. So take about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes to look at 2 instances of, for example, James, how you met Kevin. I'll look at how I met Declan, and then we'll go around again and we'll do it one more time. So I'll kick this off, and James Perry. We have known each other now about 4 years, I would suggest. And I think, and I hope I'm not entirely wrong about this, I think where we met was at an event, and it was in the bank in Belfast city centre, and it was the organisation doesn't even exist anymore. eSpark was at the event, an eSpark event. So it was one of these business networking events. And it was literally one of those situations where we were between talks, or we just happened to sit beside each other. We didn't know each other from Adam. We started a conversation, and it didn't take very long for us to realize that we literally lived a stone's throw from each other. Well, a stone's throw in country terms, it's about 1.5 miles. As your dad would say, James, we're neighbours. So we started up a conversation and got to know each other. And over the course of the last 2 years or so, or 3 years, 4 years, my goodness, time flies, I've got to become very good friends. Is my memory of that correct, James?
Absolutely, Martin. I was at that eSpark event, and there was a guy I was sitting beside, and then at the end of the night introduced you to me because he realized they were both accountants. So that's right. Really what it was. It was that common connection in terms of accountancy. You turned around, told me where you came from, and the rest is history.
That is right. There was someone else introduced us, an English fella.
English fella. He was building the website for me.
That's right. His name slips my mind now, but there you go. So that's how we got introduced. Declan, who did you meet and how? In the networking?
I think through the networking, it was probably, if we think back all those years ago, Martin, if we think back to the what we tried to do with the fledgling Social Media Association for Business, I think one of the early attempts at networking. I mean, I always think in Belfast we've done very well with all these networking things, considering there wasn't really very much of it until about 5 or 6 years ago. Genuinely, I mean, there just wasn't a hell of a lot going on. So I think we first met each other whenever you were trying to put this thing together. And then we turned up to a few events. I remember one in particular. I think I chaired the meeting at Ulster University on one occasion. I think that's the first time we properly met and managed to have a chat. I think it's one of these ones where you're conversing with someone online for a while. And then you finally meet. I think it was that night at Ulster University. We had a brilliant. See, when you think back to the people that were there, God rest her, Larry McKee was there that night.
That's right.
Nicola Bates, who now is just phenomenally successful in the defense sector, working for Boeing. I think she works for Boeing Defense now, doing innovation. Just an incredible room full of people. But I remember that being the first night where we kind of met, and it was one of those ones where I was making a specific effort to throw myself into the local scene, because a lot of my work would be international, and because of that, you don't really grow a fabulous network at home all the time. And I would say that you did an awful lot of work to try and help me spread that network a little bit.
So here's something that I must have blanked out in my mind completely. So you actually hosted one of the events. You were the guy at the podium.
Yeah, at the Ulster, at the one at Ulster University. I don't know how, because I didn't put any real work into the organisation of it. I think it just sloped in towards the end in a half decent suit and sounded like I knew what I was talking
Confidence.
about. I think that's what it was.
Confidence
It was a
and
total
good
fake it till you make it situation at that point, and we're still faking today. But I remember sloping in, and someone says, "Do you want to chair it?" And no idea what I was talking about. Still not particularly.
And you must have been a real young whippersnapper there. You must have been in your early 20s at that stage.
Probably was. I was probably still in the Invest NI days.
Yeah, very good. Kevin, do you want to share one of you how you met, not necessarily just me, whoever, how you met one of us through networking?
Yeah, I surely will, Martin. And I think it's probably only fair to start with you, Martin, because it's through you that I met the other guys. And I was back studying at Jordanstown in 2000 and I think it was 17, 18 year. And got very friendly with a chap called Damien Campbell, who is the head of sales, sort of sales director at Fleet Financial. And Damien was organising a networking event in the, I was going to say Windsor Park, in the National Stadium. In the George Base Suite, and his event was called Knowledge Network. So it was a networking event based on sharing a bit of knowledge. And I remember going along to that, and I wrote a blog about it, which I'll maybe post under when this is posted. I wrote a blog about it, and the blog was called "Networking, It's Not for Me." And I went along there, and I saw, first of all, lots of men, so lots of men, lots of suits, and I can remember getting there thinking, what am I even doing here? I mean, this is not for me. This is not where I belong. I am not. I shouldn't. I don't sit amongst these people. But that was just me. That was me being judgmental. And I went along and I sat down and I had some fabulous conversations, and there was a couple of cool presentations. And then you, Martin, stood up and gave a presentation, and I was very impressed with it. Very impressed with the presentation. And come the end, I said, right, I need to go and say hello to this guy. And I just went up and introduced myself to you and just said, "How you doing? I'm Kevin, and I liked your presentation." And that was that, and very soon after that, we then, which I'm sure we'll talk about a bit more later, but you contacted me and said, "I'm going to do something. Will you give me a hand?" And I thought, absolutely. Didn't know you from Adam, and you didn't know me from Adam.
Still ask you for a favor.
and some mistakes are just irreversible, Martin. And here we are sitting here tonight talking about it. When I think back of meeting Damien and going to university, meeting Damien Campbell, going to that networking event, and I could talk for an hour, about the web that has created and the people that I have met, all sorts of people that go well beyond this group, and that I have met and know and got familiar with, all from going to that one networking event, which I said at the time and blogged about it, thought this is not for me. And it very much was for me, and it was going along to that networking event that kind of this is one of the joys of working from home during COVID, isn't it? That we work from home and just unexpected things happen, and it's cool. I love it.
This is brilliant. This is life.
So going to that networking event, prior to that, Martin, my ideas of a networking event were stayed. Just people trying to sell me stuff and sell me their product, and it wasn't the place for making relationships, and I really didn't enjoy them. I really don't enjoy small talk. I didn't enjoy networking events. Didn't think I would enjoy that one. Got to it, and it really changed my outlook and perspective on networking events.
Brilliant answer. Considered, thoughtful, informative. What are you up to, James and Declan? Come on, you have to up your game. Moving on the idea of how we all met through networking. One of the things I'd love to hear is, do you have, and this is almost an impossible question to answer once you start thinking about, at least once I start thinking about my favorite moments from networking events, do you have a moment that stands out as an evening or an event or a day or an occasion that you went to that you absolutely thought, one of those moments that you just sort of go, I'm really enjoying this. I wish I could go back to it again. It was really, really brilliant. And I have had that while I've been out with my friends at networking events. And networking events aren't always all about business. Like, I remember the thing that you did for the festival in Bangor, Kevin and James. I can think of, I suppose one of my very favorite ones was the Heart Bar, and it wasn't all talks about business. And Declan, the Social Media Association, very often they weren't necessarily about business. But I think one of my, if I was to try and pick out one of my favorite ones, it would be the accidental invitation that I put out to your friend Toph, James, the guy that was over from Australia. He was actually staying in Scotland, and he was running an ultra marathon. And the only reason I even knew the guy existed was that a week or two prior, I'd seen you do one of your James Parry's Presents interviews with him, and I thought he was an interesting character. He said he was coming over to Scotland, and I put over a very light touch invitation, said, if you ever feel fancy like coming over to Northern Ireland, I would love to see you. Come on over, and we will make you very welcome. And the guy said yes. I had no idea where we were going to put him, what we were going to do with him, how we were going to manage that whole thing. And what did I do? I reached out to my friends, my business friends in networking, yourself, James, yourself, Kevin, and Declan, and we put on between us what I think was one of the most enjoyable events I've been to in years. And yes, the networking aspect of it, we all met down in Lost Space, which was a fantastic thing. And Kevin, you gave us a bit of poetry, which was great. James, you did a lot. You looked after the guys. You know, we put them up and give them somewhere to stay, along with everything else. We all went down that evening. But I think my favorite part of that whole bit was afterwards, when about 6 or 7, 8, maybe 9, and I can't remember how many there was, went out for dinner afterwards. And the bit where you're relaxing after the show, almost. I remember sitting having dinner. None of us were having drinks. We're all being very sensible. We're all drinking soft drinks and stuff. I can remember sitting, and Michelle was there, and you guys were there, and Toph and the guys were there, and Matthew Thompson was there as well, nice guy. And I remember sitting and thinking, do you know what? This is brilliant. This is what being in business is about. This is what hosting events is about, and it sticks in my mind to this day as one of my very favorite moments from going out there and meeting other businesses. Declan, do you have any thoughts? Do you have any moments like that?
I always find it's strange because I'm kind of transient. I tend to. I know tonight's about networking, but I will always hold my hands up and admit I'm one of the worst networkers in terms of. I'll call it an achievement if I make it out and actually attend the event. That's a big tick in the box for me. But I always find that I do an awful lot of work around the event, and I contact a lot of people, even if I'm not able to go, and you do that. I mean, we had a really nice evening there not so long ago. Our friend Kenny put on his sales event in Belfast, and I came and I presented at that on his behalf. And again, after that event, it was actually quite nice because we were able to mill around. There were plenty of good faces. I got to meet Henry McCrory for the first time and have a good chat with him. There were a few other people came up and introduced themselves, which was great. And then I think after that, we went off and had a very high-class dinner in Five Guys because it was the only place that was open. But I think it was James and Kev and myself went out and just had a chat and a bit of a wrap up on the event. And then afterwards, it was the stuff that really mattered. You know, it was
Where was I?
You sloped off.
You left early.
You sloped off and left early, my friend.
Yeah, five chairs going down, or five guys. My goodness.
Yeah, but I mean, it was nice, and the nice thing about that was I think it ended up being about 5 minutes of business, and the rest of it was about the stuff that really mattered.
Yeah.
You know, and what was going on, and that's the stuff. You know, whenever especially when you're self-employed, especially whenever you have your own responsibilities and you don't have a team of people to wipe it off. Those moments are really precious whenever you can get around the table with folks like these and have a chat about the stuff that really matters. So that would probably be a recent highlight for me, and it's certainly something that I look forward to.
No, that is an excellent example because Kenny's event, I think it was one of those events that was just right. Nice people at it, great presenters. You came across incredibly well that night, and really, really spoke really, really well. And to finish it off with a Five Guys burger and chips, that must have been that for me is the dream night. Right?
I had to remortgage the house for a Five Guys, but even still, it was nice.
You should have just let James pay. And on that note, James, what was can you think of a highlight event, networking event that you really enjoyed?
Couple of things, Martin. The first one was your MM3 event, the micro marketing event. So that was was it the 10th anniversary of Gilchrist & Co?
That was it. Yeah.
And the upstairs in Baths was packed. There was great conversation. There was great talks. That was the first time I met Kevin, believe it or not.
Wow.
And so Kevin was talking about Belarus. I went, I have no cash. How can I contribute online? And that's history again. Was made. So that first, it was the first time I actually met loads of other people, Kyle Gawley, etc., and I've had loads of conversations with other people simply from that event that was run incredibly well in Ormo Baths. But another event where I met Declan, sort of, for the first time. I met him online, which was a James Perry Presents, where I interviewed my father. And lo and behold, a comment came after it from a Mr. Declan Barry, who said that was the most enjoyable hour I've spent in a long time. And hence came from that, we said we have to meet for coffee. And that was the first time I met Declan. Okay, indirectly from yourself, Martin. But again, that's just another, networking comes about in very, very mysterious ways occasionally.
Yeah.
And doesn't have to be the set formal or stroke informal. It can be from the very obscure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first time I had met Declan, simply from that comment. So it's those two things spring to mind for me.
And I think you're absolutely right. Networking is one of these things. I don't think networking is even the best word to describe what it is that business people do when they meet up like this. But it's one of these things you can't really plan for what's going to happen, because the magic in networking happens through the stuff that isn't planned and the people that you don't expect to meet. If you just followed a list of people you wanted to talk to and what you wanted to talk to them about, the magic wouldn't happen. So with that in mind, Kevin, any magical networking or whatever you would call them, events that you've been to, you thought, that was class. I love that.
Well, I have to be honest, and for someone that doesn't really love networking events, didn't love those very formal networking events. So I think since in the time that I've known you, when I think of the MM3 one where we met, I met James for the first time. That was a class event. That was a class event, and we, I know self praise is no praise at all, but for the motley crew that we were, we pulled that together in amazing fashion, and it really looked on the night like we knew what we were talking about and knew what we were doing. And I think many a great relationship was made. So there was that one. There was the TOEF one that you've just mentioned. That was a cracking event as well. Really, really good event. Then there was we had just recently, we all went down to James Street South. I thoroughly enjoyed that event. Like that, lovely people, nice conversation, good food. James actually gave me a lift there and a lift home. So
you still have to pay me the fare for
that. Yeah. Well, you're not getting it now because I'm on furlough. So you
missed that boat, James. You missed that boat.
Missed that boat. Yeah. So, Mark, over the last 3 or 4 years, the 3 or 4 that we have done together, we had another wee coffee morning when Karen came home from America not so long ago as well, and that was just a nice event. So I think any of the events that we have done together, I have always went and felt really relaxed, really welcomed. I've never felt that I was being sold to, or that it was a sales event. The Kenny one was really good as well. So I have to think all of those, and I think as long as there's an interesting group of people, an interesting environment. I mean, funny enough, all the ones that we've mentioned, it was upstairs in loft space, it was upstairs in the Ormo Baths, it was in James Street South, so it was in the Dark Horse. So these are all interesting enough venues in themselves, to just so they're not just an office somewhere. And even at Kenny Sales one, like Kenny had food on the go there, and he had the whiskey companies or the drinks companies on the go. Interesting event in itself. So,
and James, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I just want to completely reiterate what Kevin has said. From my impression of networking 5 years ago was this corporate style of having a ton of business cards in your back pocket and literally dealing them out like playing cards, creating small talk with people you had nothing in common with. That was my impression of it. And from that time, Martin, of meeting you and understanding that, whether you call it networking, collaboration, or whatever, the key to it is to find those people that you enjoy being in the company with and have things in common with. Or if you don't have things in common with, you are comfortable in that environment, as Kevin said. So that was a massive learning for me, is that it's not this corporate stuffy environment. If you're comfortable, great things come from it all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a massive, valuable lesson I've learned.
Yeah. And Declan, sorry, did I ask you what your favorite networking event was?
Yeah, we were, but you did. But I'll build on what James just said there. I think a lot of it's down to personal style. I mean, a lot of us have tried these formal networking things, and I'm not going to name any of them in particular, but where you go and you have a set formal thing, go at a particular time, bar trying to get me to be anywhere and do anything sensibly at 7:30 in the morning. It's just not going to happen. But any of these two things that are too formal, it feels very staged. It just never really fit what I was wanting to do. And some of the people there weren't really the people that I felt I would gel with. So I think that the sort of events that have been created through this little motley crew have been very relaxed and very suitable for good people who want to just kind of build relationships. And I think if it would be really interesting if we could work out amongst the various groups and Facebook pages and stuff who had actually done work together, because I think a lot of people have done multiple pieces of business together over a long period of time, and that doesn't normally happen. So there's a real achievement in that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there is an awful lot of real business. I know a lot of what we have done together in the past has been quite fun, and as Kevin said, you feel like you're welcome, and there's not pressure on you. You actually enjoy meeting the people you get to meet at the networking events we've done between us. But there has been a lot of businesses come out of that as well. I know people that have done business together. I've done business out of them without anybody having to sell anything. All they're doing is going and being themselves. And if somebody's interested, they tell the story. Sorry, James, did you want to add something?
On Martin, it's again coming from something that you say in your talks, is that fundamental thing of giving something without wanting anything in return, and then building that foundation that actually comes through in the future. Because if you're what the greatest thing we can give is our time. You know what I mean? And that's what we do in these events, and that's what we're doing now. And this is a collaboration. Whoever will watch in the future. And goodness knows what that leads to.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You never know where it's going to take you. And on that point, we're moving on.
Just what you mean. Sorry, very, very quickly. I was reminded of something there. When I lead people in a bit of meditation, there's a meditation, and it kind of winds up with trying to work out, feel the space that you're in, and what can you give to the present moment. What can you? How can you give to enhance the present moment? And just as James is talking about that idea for anyone going networking or going to collaborate or going to work along with people, it is asking yourself that question of what can I give to the present moment that I find myself in? Because I think if you go with that attitude, well, first of all, you're not going to be disappointed because you're not looking to get. If you go looking to get, you're likely to be disappointed. But if you go looking to give, when you go in that spirit, I think you'll be well received. People will open up to you, people will like you, and you can definitely find places where you can engage with the environment you find yourself in.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So to move on from the how we met through networking and what we felt were our favorite networking moments, I'd love to touch on the idea of the collaboration, the actual practical steps and activities that have come out of that networking. Because networking itself is the introductions, it's getting to know people. But the real value comes that once you get the opportunity to work with the people that you've got to know. And I would love to touch on that, or actually go into it in a wee bit of detail about how networking has led to collaborative activities that you guys have felt have really benefited you. And I know that I've been along to stuff or enjoyed stuff that all of you have been involved in. I've got great value out of, and I'm going to kick this off because I'm going to be greedy, and I'm going to grab the MM3 event because Kevin, as you described it, and James as well, it was a brilliant night. But it wasn't a brilliant night because of the speakers, and it wasn't a brilliant night because of the food. It was because of all the alcohol that was given out for free. No, it was the magic that happens when you bring together people who have different interests, different agendas, different points of view, different backgrounds, but as you've described it, Kevin, the right attitude. you know. And what I did with the MM3 event was I reached out to people. I didn't necessarily. How long had I known you, Kevin, before I asked you to join me on that?
A matter of weeks.
Weeks.
A matter
James,
of weeks, yeah.
We had known each other about a year or so, James, and you had very kindly invited me to the What is Your Motivation event, and I got to speak at that. And What is Your Motivation event was, it definitely was a catalyst to what I was then able to go on and do with the MM3 event, because it gave me the confidence to work with other people doing the stuff that we ended up doing at the MM3 event. But the magic of the MM3 event was that my view on it was that it wasn't my job to tell anybody what to do. It was my job to let people decide themselves what they wanted to do and then trust them to do it. Because it was an event that wasn't, maybe I've been a little bit flippant here, but I certainly didn't get the sense of having to manage anything. I got the sense that right from the start to the very last person left, so from when we started organizing it maybe 2 months, 3 months beforehand, to the very last person left on that night, that I enjoyed every minute of it. The planning meetings, the preparation, the setting up the room that night, the working out what order we were going to put the speakers in, the magic of what you got involved in the middle, Kevin, where we split up my speech was a very formal talk with a shirt and tie on, and I was standing from the stage pontificating, as it were. But there were talks that were a lot lighter, like Kyle's, who came after mine. But then what you did, Kev, was fantastic, because what it did was it re-energized the room by getting people to stand up and get involved in activities. And I couldn't have thought up, created, imagined, produced all of that by myself. It was a genuine collaboration of good people coming together for the right reason. I don't think anybody was there to really get anything for themselves. They were there to be part of something that was bigger than any of us as individuals. So if I was to be asked to pick out, Martin, from your whole, apart from Michelle and I working together in Gilchrist and Go, which obviously has worked out very well for me as a collaboration, but pick out a collaborative project where you've worked with other businesses that you felt went really, really well. I have to put down the MM3 event, because it's just one of those things that were magic. Sorry, James, did you want to say something?
Just to quickly touch on that, because there was a two-way benefit from a certain event, Martin. So about just a little over 3 years ago, where me and you met for a cup of coffee with Andy Callan, and you challenged me to put on an event for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd said, get your name out there, put your face out there, whatever. So from that challenge of running our first event that I done, which was the 24th of May, 2017, 3 years ago,
mm-hmm.
I then retorted and went, but I will only do it if you speak at my event.
There you go.
So you challenging me to do my first event led to your first chance of public speaking. So it's amazing what comes from just that particular cup of coffee or conversation.
Mm-hmm. And people working together. Declan, do you have any particular examples of collaboration that you think that went incredibly well? I was happy with it.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, because my business wouldn't exist without collaboration. It just wouldn't. Everything that I do is on the basis of building up goodwill with one group of people. So as whenever I have a client who would like to look at a particular area, region, do a bit or whatever.
Can I just, Kevin? Declan? I'm being very rude. I'm cutting across you. And something's popped into my mind, and I've got that sort of.
Go on.
We should have collaborated on the shirts before we went live. Like, what is this?
I was just trying to sail through this without acknowledging it.
It has to be said. It had to be pointed out. Anyway, on that, sorry for completely ruining your train of thought and bringing it up, but I like it. I like the look. We should all wear the same shirts in future.
I only own like four shirts, so, and then whenever they get changed after 6 months, I just order the same 4 shirts. So it's,
that's me.
I would have limited options to go to if we decided to change. So there we go. But no, I think on the collaboration piece, everything's about goodwill. Everything's about connecting people together. One brilliant quote I remember. The very good friend and very good support to me has been Mary McKenna from the entrepreneur, a very successful entrepreneur. And one of the things she told me years ago was it's not necessarily networking. She used to call it collecting people. And it was just, she just had this bank of people that she always treated well. They treated her well. And whenever the right opportunity came up to work together, you weren't shy about taking it. So my business wouldn't exist without collaboration. And my new business that we launched, Agile Growth Systems, certainly wouldn't exist because my business partner in that is someone I met on another project probably 2 years ago. And we were looking for an opportunity to work together. So I'm a big believer in that, and that's where I come from.
Very good.
And here's my other creator has arrived.
As the guys were talking, Martin, I was thinking something very similar in that the work that I do is all about walking beside someone. I think Declan, if we didn't use our own industry jargon, we could imagine that we're both in the same thing. Because what my job is to build trust with people and to walk them from point A to point B. And they won't do that if you can't build trust, if you can't respect them, be playful, have fun, but be serious. Be an expert in your field, but be humble. And and that's every single piece of work that I do with client or organization is walking them from point A to point B, and that's always collaborate. I can't walk it for them. They don't want to walk it alone. That's why we're collaborating. So in that sense, every bit of work I do is collaboration. And I was thinking again as you guys were talking, what is it? The MM3 one you mentioned, Martin, and the one with Toph, and we talked about different ones there. And for me, what they all had was intention. It was the intentionality, the reason for doing it was good and just and true and right. And it was about, if we want to be open and honest about it, it's about introducing people to each other. It's about building the profile of yourself. But what's that saying that a rising tide floats all boats? And if we can raise the profile of ourselves by doing an event and by raising the profile of the other people who are doing an event or who are at the event, and that all comes from the intentionality. Why are you doing this? Are you doing it to sell people your business? No. Are you doing it to allow people to get to know you and to understand? You used words at the start, Martin, like values, and yes, that's why you're doing it. And even when we went to do this, Martin, I said to you, what's our intent? What's our intent? Why? What's our intention? Why do we want to do this? So, it's slightly off the beat of the question you've asked me. But I think that any network or collaborative piece of work that people go to do, there has to be an intentionality. Why do we want to work together? What is the point of us working together? What's the? Sorry, James, go ahead.
No, that's a great point because it's triggered something with me, Kevin. You're talking about trust, but just to throw something out as well. This is something I talk to my accounting clients about with a career development, and it's the difference between trust and rapport. So where I'm saying about trust being, if you say somebody's trustworthy, I'll meet you at 9 o'clock this evening. Potentially someone's trustworthy will be at 9 o'clock this evening. But if you are going to build deep rapport with someone, it is, and you probably do this, Kevin, we all do this, is to sit down just before we start the business and go, how's the family? Where's your latest holiday been? How are you feeling? Asking that personal question to build deep rapport. And that to me is another cornerstone of actually building deep collaborations with someone, because the reason why we're so friendly is we've got deep rapport with each other. And we're very, very lucky to do that. And that's what sets us out from just meeting Joe Blogs in the street, So that's definitely something that's important.
I suppose that then what we're talking about then, and that's what collaboration is. It's relationship. That's what it's about. It's about relationship. About relationships, and relationship is more than being on time and ticking the boxes. Relationship is about knowing that, Martin has a fondness for strawberry milkshakes. Do you know what I mean? And then the Declan likes a big milky latte. That's what that. But you know what I mean? That's what relationship is about. It's being able to allow people to see into you, and by paying attention to that in other people as well.
And so, can I absolutely with that, Kevin? You're 100% right, because again, just advising my clients, good old stereotypical accountant. The stereotype is that we're stuck behind a screen 24/7 looking at Excel spreadsheets, where the role of most people now is to get off your seat and go and build relationships with others. So whether you're an auditor that wants to go and get information from a client, or you're a financial accountant or business partner wanting to go and talk to the operations department, you have to build that relationship first before you get any work done. So absolutely agree with that. Relationship is a brilliant word.
That very nicely closes off the conversation about collaborative projects. Now, what I would want to do is this is completely off-piste, free range, whatever it is that you want to talk about as you guys. It can be related to the conversation we've just had, or there may be something else that you need to let us know about, or whatever the case may be. But we're going to spend the next 5-10 minutes doing that before we actually go into the summarization and closing off tonight's event. I'll start this off by giving you a flavor for what I mean. Networking and collaboration is about all the things that you guys have just discussed, which I've discussed. So it's about building relationships. It's about getting to know people. It's about building trust. It's about then working on projects together because you've already got those relationships in place. But essentially, what you have to bear in mind is that no man, no woman is an island. Nobody just popped up out of the ground fully clothed with all the information inside their head to do whatever it is that they do and to do it well. And nobody can continue to exist without other people around them, providing them with services, demanding services, supporting them and everything else. And particularly in small business, corporations sort of generate their own climate. Large businesses can generate their own climate. When you're an individual, you cannot exist in business unless you have relationships like the ones we have just discussed, unless you're able to develop collaborations, because you'll end up having to pay for everything. And I would say about 60% of my time is doing work or providing services or helping people in a way that I will never get paid for and never expect to get paid for. But reciprocally, with that word, that word I'm trying to say, I would say that I only pay for about 40% of the stuff I receive from my community, my network, my business friends and partners. And I can give you 2 examples right now. I was trying to put a contact us button onto the Google web page that I've built myself for free. I didn't know, I'd sort of put on something that I didn't really understand. And Kevin, you came along, you suggested your wee app that you use, and it's worked brilliantly. I would never have known about that, and I probably would have spent many hours struggling trying to find something like that. I've already had a series of contacts directly through that. It's so good, in fact, to put it onto my mobile phone, and if I can't answer a call, I'm directing people to that. That's a definite example of I'm not an island. I need the people around me. And I could say the same for James. The only reason we're able to do this live tonight is because James volunteered. I didn't even have to ask you, James. We talked about the idea together of the Monday night business conversations, and that we were going to do a special on the bank holiday. And you just offered the software that you pay for, your skills and your ability and able to get it work. And I couldn't have put you off. I felt a little bit guilty, but I had no reason to feel guilty. I know. But I didn't want to feel that I was using or abusing our relationship in any way. But that wasn't what was happening. Because, as you said yourself, I would have done the same for you. And Declan, the number of times that you have helped me out with advice in regard to business issues, having conversations with other people that I know, just being there in a supportive role as a good guy, all of that comes from this sense of none of us could do it by ourselves. And regardless of what you what name or label or description you put on it, networking, collaboration, whatever that is, whether those words are the right words to describe it or not, what we are doing now is the essence of what all that is about and what happens when you actually make the effort to go out and do it well. Anyway, that's my piece. Kevin, what do you think? You can discuss any issue on any topic, knock it out of the park.
And you want me to say within the realms of collaboration?
Anything you want.
We'll stay within the realms of collaboration. I think as well, given that it's just been Mental Health Awareness Week as well, Martin, and the week that we're in or just out of, whatever, it should be mental health awareness all the time. Mm-hmm. And funny, I was thinking last week that I think maybe even in the field that I work in, I think in Northern Ireland or the north of Ireland or the island of Ireland, that we're getting to a stage where mental health has gone beyond the idea that if I'm having a problem, that it's not taboo to speak about it. Now, that is of course that's it's not taboo to speak about it, but we're now getting to a stage where mental health, where people are starting to consider, well, how do I look after my mental health? So, okay, I don't have a problem, but I don't want to have a problem. So what can I do to look after my mental health? We're now getting to that stage where mental health isn't this taboo thing. I'm suffering from depression or anxiety. It's a taboo thing. To the point of, well, I'd like to look after myself. And for me, being a sole trader, being an individual in business, as are all you guys, as will a lot of the people watching this wee webinar be, or the podcast or whatever, vlog. Something that's really important about collaboration and about relationship is it's good for you. It is just good for you to go out and see people and chat about things and to discover new things and to maybe get a book recommendation or for somebody to say, have you tried this series on Netflix? It's healthy to be able to go out and co-regulate. I know we don't do a lot of that at the minute, but to go out and co-regulate and stand in front of a group of human beings that can stimulate you and excite you and let you know what you like and what you don't like, and just to have that human contact that you get through collaborating, like the excitement and the fun that we had and all the projects that we've done has been good for me. It's been good for my well-being. It puts a smile on my face. We sometimes we talk serious business stuff, and sometimes we talk about absolutely ridiculous and frivolous stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important, given a space to talk about anything you want, keeping it within collaboration, is that collaborating and reaching out and meeting people. You don't have to like or work everyone you meet. You don't have to like or work with everyone you meet, but by going out and collaborating and building those relationships, you'll find people that you do like and that you would like to work with. And for me, that's healthy and good and should be encouraged,
Yeah. James, this isn't a fair question, James. I'm afraid to touch anything in case I break the interwebs here. One of the things I appreciate is that this is a live feed. Have there been any comments or anything coming through?
Yeah, because I have to go onto the phone. I have to go onto the phone to see some of them, you see, because of the way this integrates.
What I'll do is we'll leave you in peace for a wee minute to have a wee look and see if anybody's coming through, and we'll go to Declan. Declan, on that open, off-piste conversation, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think, it's funny when you look at collaboration and what you talk about. I think everyone looks specifically at the work side of things and the professional side of things. I think something that's particularly important at the moment is the personal side of things as well. I mean, those of us who are in relationships, and I'm sitting here at the moment, what you may or may not be able to hear is my wife over here reading the twits to the two kids as we do bedtime. And she's very understanding of me sitting here doing calls like this and participating in things like this, because she knows it helps me and what I'm trying to achieve. The same way she was supportive whenever I did my master's, the same way she was supportive when we started the business, and I think those sort of collaborations on the personal side are just as important of anything that happens professionally. But on that, and on the professional side, I think there's a few things on this, and first of all, is what we've already discussed tonight around that. Finding the right people, finding people that you're happy to spend time with and to collaborate with. Once you've done that, it's really important that you don't waste it. I mean, I see so many things with unbelievable potential that just don't happen because of pettiness or someone not following up, someone not walking the walk. Whenever they say they're going to do something, they don't do it, they don't follow up right. So I think those two things are really important, that when someone invests in that relationship with you, that you equally invest in that relationship with them, so it doesn't become one-sided. And then the final thing is like anything that you're trying to grow, maybe I'm veering into Kevin's terminology here, but if you want the plant to grow, you've got to water it. You've got to nurture it. You've got to invest in that time and energy in it. So on the whole idea of collaborating, be it strict professional, a formal partnership or some sort of contract, all of the fundamentals still apply, that you've just got to look after it, respect it, and appreciate it. And as long as you do that, you'll get value from it over, as Dad says, it'll all work out over a football season. You might not get the benefit tomorrow, but certainly you'll get the benefit eventually. But they're the two main things that I would talk about. One is when you're talking about collaborations, don't forget to think about what happens on the personal side rather than the business side. And then secondly is, you have a real responsibility. If you're lucky enough to find yourself in a circle of good people, don't waste it, and pay proper attention and care to it.
Brilliant. Yeah, very good summary of what we've been saying. James, has there been anything that we need to reply to? Any shout outs that we want to give?
I can see one question, and I'll mention that there's actually two questions now. I'll mention that in 1 wee second. Just what I would like to do is to fire a question back to you three guys as well, because we've spoken a lot about what we've done previously and the great stuff we've done. But what I would like to know from us as a group here, especially for our viewers, anybody who's watching, is there's the good old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, I sometimes flip that. It's about who knows you, right? So is there any practical steps, folks, that we can tell our viewers tonight or whoever's going to watch it in the future? Is there anything outside the box, anything that someone out there can do to help their collaboration, do you think?
I'm going to take a shortcut answer, and I'm going to let Kevin give a more sensible answer. maybe a more thoughtful answer.
To be honest, James, I think it's already been spoken about. I think I mentioned it slightly earlier, and Declan's just mentioned it now. And that idea of who knows you, and that's true. But who knows what about you? So, respecting that relationship, as Declan said, and thinking to yourself from a place of space and a place of calm and a place of stillness, what can I give to the present moment? What can I put into this present moment that I find myself in, to the environment, the experience that I'm having right now? What can I give to it? What can I add? What can I give? And that's really important, James. That's a really important thing of getting yourself known. I think I would be known for someone that enjoys the crack, does what I say that I will do, shows up and goes a bit extra. And if people know me for that, then I'm happy with it.
Sorry, James, just to get me
quickly. Yep, sorry, go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say the very easy way to get my answer to that question is I'm going to put the link up, or maybe you can do it for me, James, the link to the video of the evening that we had at the MM3, what was that event called? The
Micro Marketing 3.
Three perspectives. And my whole answer to that, my whole talk that night was probably the answer to that question. Go back and watch that. Go back and see what I said, and also get to see what the other guy said as well. Lots of useful information in there.
Yeah, the final thing, James, sorry if I can just throw in on that, is the counterintuitive piece is when people go to networking events and go to things like that, they always feel like they have to be on broadcast. Hi, I'm such and such here. Let me shove my business card down your throat and let me tell you everything about myself. If you flick that and actually listen, you'll find that the people who wanted to talk to you will find you. And that's something I try to do more. It's the old thing about selling. You can be listening twice as much as you're talking. That also includes things like networking. So I would just try to. I know it's counterintuitive when you go to a networking event, but try and find a way to switch off broadcast and try to switch on receive.
That's the sort of thing that I'm trying to get at with. If there's someone there who's watching that doesn't have a clue where to start, absolutely go to Meetup, go to Eventbrite, go to networking groups on Facebook, and try and find that tribe or those people that connect with you or you like the look of, and go to them. Absolutely go to them. Or
James,
join.
I think that was. I'm just going to. I'm not sure if you noticed that one, James, but Stephen Burke on Facebook had asked that question. Good places to find these business events? Question mark.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think. That's what you're on. So Stephen, that's what James is talking about now.
Absolutely.
Okay, so.
Or for example, if there's a committee or there's something like that you're interested in, go and join it. Absolutely.
The difficulty and the terrible thing, my job here is having to bring this to an end when it's all getting so exciting and there's probably loads of good questions on there. Is there? We'll have to pick one out. Let's pick one lucky question out at random from the wall that maybe we can give one answer to quickly before I go into the summarising thing, because we're supposed to finish at 9. I don't want to run over too far. So, any bell ringers or Kevin or James?
Well, James can find the question, but I just want to. I think it's important when you have people that are willing to give up their time to engage, that we at least say hello to them. So Venti has joined us. Sharon Murray has joined us. I saw Edmund Carroll there, and Stephen Burke was there. So we've answered a question, Stephen Burke. I think, James, there was a question from Sharon there. Do you want to? Can you see the questions?
I can't. For some reason, I can't see them.
Okay. Well, I'll read it out there. Because Sharon had said, guys, how have you found networking during lockdown? Has it been more beneficial for you, or have any of you struggled in any way?
Okay, well, my answer to that question is very, very quickly, and these need to be quick question answers because we have to finish off now. But my answer very quickly is that this is what the Monday night business conversations have been all about. Because I haven't been able to get out and drink the coffees and turn up at events and see the people I would normally see, what I've done is created a time and a location, so 8 p.m. on the Gilchrist & Co website, where I'm talking to business people. And it really, really has helped from the business perspective. From a more personal perspective, I think what us guys do, so we have our own little clique or group or thing that if any one of us wants to have a word with each other, either individually or as a group, just has to put up a wee message on Messenger, and we all get together that afternoon or maybe the next day, and we'll sit down and we can speak, blow the wind, I call it. That's not the thing. Shoot the sails.
Shoot the breeze.
Shoot the breeze.
Chew the fat.
Chew the fat. Whatever it is, that's what we do. So yeah, that's my answer to that question. James, any thoughts?
No, yeah, that's absolutely. In terms of there is a term called Zoom fatigue, which I think I've got at the moment. But maybe dedicate a couple of hours during the week or something. If there is someone you haven't spoken to in a while, send them a wee message and say, hey, look, you fancy we Zoom catch up. But don't try and put 6 back to back like I've done.
Yeah, you're exhausted. Declan?
Yeah, I would be pretty much the same. Although the one thing I would say is I think it taught me to appreciate them a little bit more in terms of some of those conversations that we have had. And I have found myself having more catch-up calls, just speculative, haven't spoken to you in a year, what's the crack? And some, not necessarily business, but some really interesting stuff has come out of that, and I've really appreciated that bit of contact. So I think it's good to get a healthy balance of what's going to help you do what you need to do for your business, but what's going to keep you sane as well. We all need that adult company, and we all need that conversation. So I think that's important, just to find that balance.
Yeah, your good lady wife there's reading the twits to your children. I'm wondering, is there a joke around that about what she should be reading to us? But anyway, Kevin, you get the last words before we start.
It's probably a summary of all that you just said there, and I think that intentionality for me in my work quite often, it's getting people to actually realize how they feel. So people be behaving in certain ways because have a certain emotional state, but they don't know what that emotional state is. So if we can get people to recognize their emotional state, and if they think, you know what, I'm feeling a bit lonely, I feel like I'd like to chat to someone, I feel like I'd like to reach out. When you can realize that that's how you're feeling, then what you can do is go and phone someone. You know, I chatted to Declan during the week there, and you're quite, you know, just listen, not to chat about it, but we're just chatting, you know, and then next thing you chat for half an hour, and you know, and to reach out when you know that you feel that need for some contact, and you say to someone, fancy a Zoom or fancy a virtual coffee, and I think that's around intentionality again, knowing how you feel and taking an action to do something about it.
Brilliant. Okay, it's time to finish up, time to summarize. I think the first thing I have to say is thank you to you guys. You've taken time out of your evening, and not just your evening. Obviously, we don't just pop up out of the ground and this happen. It all has to be planned to an extent beforehand. You have to give up time of your evenings. Declan has to give up time with his family, and as we all do, and I really appreciate that. I also want to say that I really appreciate anybody that has joined or has watched the conversation tonight. I think, Kevin, you're absolutely right. People taking their times out of their evenings to come and listen to us discuss our thoughts and views and beliefs and understandings of a certain topic. You know, we have to be grateful for that. It's not James's fault in any way, but I should have had the feed up in some way to try and engage those people in conversation more. And the next time we do this, if you guys are kind enough to let me have it next time, I will have in some way the way to see the feed so we can see your comments as they come through. I suppose my final, trying to be salient thought in all of this, if you take one thing away from the conversation that us guys have had tonight and all the stuff that we have done together and the way we've worked together in the past and the benefits that it's brought to you, it would be, do you know what, if you're not reaching out, if you're not doing this stuff at the moment and you're not sure how to start, even though we've suggested a couple of ways that you can, reach out to any one of us, whether it's me, James, Declan, or Kevin. None of us bite. All of us are going to be interested. And the more that we connect and engage and collaborate, you know what? Apart from anything else, as Kevin says, it just makes you feel better. You know, it's a nice way to do things. And on that, James, if you've got the big finish button ready to turn the thing off, we'll give the big signal, which is me giving a wave bye. Good night.
Cheers, folks. Bye.
Good night.